Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about something that we as a society are not talking about enough, and that's postpartum depression. I didn't write anything down for this, so I don't want to ramble, but I just want to have a conversation here about this because I've been through it twice. And it's hard. So let's just get into it. I'm just gonna tell you my story, and I just want all of you to know that you are not alone and that what you're feeling is not normal, but it's not uncommon. So, brief backstory. I got pregnant with my son when I was 19. He was planned. And we got married when I was 19. My husband was 24. I had my son when I was still 19, the month I turned 20. And I won't really go into my birth story that much. Unless you guys want me to make a separate video on that, then I will. But my birth just didn't go as planned, and that was hard. So I ended up having a C-section, which I really didn't want. And from the time my son was born, he was a really difficult baby. And I'm not gonna blame the depression on him because it definitely was not his fault. It was a baby. But it was rough from the start. I remember being in the hospital. They have those flat bassinets, and he would not sleep in that bassinet. So for the first 3 days of his life, because I stayed in the hospital for 3 days, I held him while he slept, and I didn't sleep. I would doze here and there, and a nurse would come in and wake me up like, hey, you can't sleep and hold the baby. I was just holding the baby and nursing him while he slept, and that was it. I couldn't do anything else but force myself to stay awake, which was so hard. So when I got home from the hospital, I thought everything was fine. Everything was going fine. He was breastfeeding well. He was meeting all his milestones, gaining weight. All his doctor's appointments were great. He rarely slept. I didn't know anything about babies. I thought that was, super normal. Maybe for some babies that is a normal thing. As the weeks passed, though, I started to realize something was wrong with me. I was not coping. I was crying all the time. At my 6-week appointment, I told my doctor that I was just crying all the time, and I was not sleeping, and I was just not dealing with all the stress of being a new mom very well. I was irritable. I was angry. I treated people that I love dearly, I treated them badly. I didn't want anything to do with anyone. I didn't want to be friends with anybody. I didn't want to be a wife. I did not want to be a mother. And I told all this to my doctor, and he immediately put me on an antidepressant. I think it was Zoloft. Might have been Zoloft. Or Lexapro. Either one, I've been on both. So the antidepressant didn't help. It didn't do anything. It just had some other side effects that I didn't appreciate, and I just stopped taking it. And things continued to get worse. My husband works out of town a lot, so within the second week of having my son, my husband was out of town working, and I was by myself with this baby that never stopped crying, and I'd never been around babies before. And as the weeks passed, my mom, who has had 7 kids, was coming over and trying to help. She was such a blessing. She's been such a blessing in my life in general. I love you, Mom. But anyway, so she was telling me, like, I've never seen one act like this. This is really strange. And the thing was, he wasn't in pain. He wasn't, there was no, like, no gas. There was no really any issues I could pinpoint because I tried everything. I was so patient with him. Warm baths, massages, nursing whenever he wanted to nurse. I held him while he slept. He slept in the bed with me. I catered to his every whim, and I neglected myself. And I neglected my marriage, and I just become a shell of who I used to be. I wasn't myself anymore. Pregnancy is hard in general. For anybody, your hormones go crazy. Everything is just so off. And then when you're recovering postpartum, your hormones, it's like they're even crazier. And then if you get postpartum depression, it's like you're not even the same person anymore. And I wasn't. Months passed, and my baby that had breastfed perfectly for 4 months suddenly stopped breastfeeding. Not because I changed anything, not because I wanted to do anything different, but because he just, I don't know what it was. It may have been my depression and my stress level that caused my milk supply to dry up, because after he stopped nursing, I never was engorged. I never went through that process of letting my milk dry up. It was like it was just already gone. So he wouldn't latch. I would try everything. For a couple days, I was able to nurse him in the shower, but that was it. And I felt like a failure. I had to, formula feed him or he wouldn't have eaten. And that killed me. With every bottle I fixed, I would sob. I felt like such a failure. And let me just tell you right now, as pro breastfeeding as I am, if you have to formula feed, you are not a failure. Do what works for you and your child, and don't worry about what society thinks, because I put so much pressure on myself. My mom breastfed her babies, and I grew up only knowing about natural births and breastfeeding. And so in my mind, when I didn't have a natural birth and then I couldn't breastfeed past 4 months, I thought I was a failure. And I had a friend that I was really close to, and she was breastfeeding just great. Her baby was a month older than mine, a month and a half. And she was just doing so good, and I was just so jealous, and I felt so embarrassed that I couldn't do better. And I would cry. I would fix the bottle, and I would just cry and cry and cry and cry. And I would pump. I would pump constantly, just trying to get my supply to come back. And it was just gone, and I felt like such a failure. And my son, he cried all the time. From the time he was born until he was about a year old, he cried all the time. He didn't sleep through the night. I was getting up 4, 5, 6, 7 times a night. Many nights, it was every hour on the hour. I was having to get up with him. And then when I was 7 months postpartum, I took a positive pregnancy test. And I was not ready to be pregnant again. And things that year were going so badly. I was so angry all the time at everybody. I was so angry at everyone. And I was shutting people out, and I was getting so distant. And then I was pregnant again, and it was gonna start all over, and different areas of my life were going downhill for different reasons. Stuff that I really won't, for privacy reasons, I won't talk about on camera, but things in my life were rough. And then I was pregnant again. And something about postpartum depression is it puts thoughts in your head that you would never put there yourself. Things that I think back now and I'm like, wow, Hattie, that's scary. I thought about killing myself every day for 2 years. I've thought about killing myself. I haven't wanted to live in so long. And I'm 7 months postpartum now. I had my daughter in March, and with her, she was a great baby, an easy baby. She had jaundice really badly, and we went back into the hospital for phototherapy, and all that was so hard. But I was, for the first 2 weeks of her life, I was so happy, like that weird hormonal high. Yeah, that was great, but it wore off. And I've continued to go through some really serious things in my life. I've continued to feel some real severe pain aside from postpartum depression, but I had postpartum depression after I had my daughter too. I went to my 6-week checkup and I was just telling my doctor that I was crying all the time. Same thing. And something I didn't mention when I was talking about my postpartum depression with my son, another thing that I didn't know that nobody seems to talk about is how my body changed. My whole life, I've been really health conscious, and I've always wanted to be more slender and fit, and I always did my best to maintain my body. And I don't know why I thought I would carry a baby for 9 months and then like go back to normal. That seems really stupid now that I think about it, but nobody told me that when the baby came out, I would look like a deflated beach ball and have extra skin that hung down. And I know that sounds really gross, but that is the reality of what my body looked like after I had a baby. I was covered in stretch marks. I'm still covered in stretch marks. It was scary to me. And then my breast changed, and I hate that. Still trying to come to terms with how my breasts are different after breastfeeding. And I'm still breastfeeding, so they're probably going to change some more when I wean my daughter, and I'm scared about that. But that contributed to my depression because I was heavier than I'd ever been in my whole life, and I hated my body. I would cry. I cried about how much I hated my body, and that is so sad because I carried 2 babies. I breastfed 2 babies. That is amazing. All moms, if you carried a baby, you are amazing. I know it's something that biologically most people can do, and it's not that hard for most people to just have sex and get pregnant. Happens every day, right? I don't care. If you go through pregnancy, you are amazing. And if you get postpartum depression, you are not alone. Because for one, I'm right here with you. I'm still recovering. And on top of all that, in September, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. and I am learning how to manage that condition. And if anybody wants to see a video on that, I can make a separate video on that if you want. But anyway, you're not alone. And I want you to talk to your doctor if you are experiencing symptoms of postpartum depression. I want you to reach out. Reach out to me. Reach out to your mom. Reach out to your sister, your best friend, your therapist, your doctor. Find someone, a stranger on the internet. Find an outlet. Find someone to talk to. Or some moms don't live through this. Some moms do crazy, radical things. I let my husband shave my head. I was in such a dark place, and I was having just an absolute mental breakdown, and I shaved my head. I told him, shave it all off. And I did. And I regret that. This is about 15 months of growth, I think. I shaved it in July of 2017, and this is October July 2018, and this is October 2019. So yeah, this is, with some trims here and there, this is 15 months worth of growth after shaving my head. So postpartum depression is serious. And I don't want you to go through that alone. There are so many women out there that aren't talking about this because we're told, we're force-fed the idea that motherhood is a gift, and okay, it is. Motherhood is a blessing. But children are not here to be easy. There's no manual. There's nothing that tells you how to deal with everything that you're going to deal with. And there's a lot more to motherhood than keeping your kids alive. Remember yourself. Find a hobby. Find an outlet, a creative outlet. That's why I started YouTube, really, because I needed a creative outlet. I needed to do something. And this is what I wanted to do. And I really hope that my videos can help you if you're going through anything. If you're going through postpartum depression, I hope I can help you. And I guess, and I'm sorry this is all over the place because I didn't write a script for this, and I don't want to really edit this to death either. I don't want to cut much out because I want it to be, really, I really want to have a conversation here, not edit this to death so it's perfect and trimmed and nice. But what was I going to say? Lost it. Just put some effort into yourself. Remember that you are more than a mother. You're more than a wife or girlfriend or a significant other, whatever. You are more than these titles that you have. Find things that are for you. One of the biggest changes in my life that has helped me, and this is just personal preference, this is just me, and I mean, not everybody's going to be able to relate to this, and that's okay, but I started going to church again, and I found a church that feels like home, and I have been working on my relationship with God, and it makes me feel like I am supposed to be alive. And that is important for me. I needed something to make me feel like I was supposed to be alive, because I just haven't in a long time felt like I wanted to live. So, like I said, you're not alone, and I am here for you. And I hope this video has helped you in some way. If you're pregnant now, congratulations. If you don't feel right after you have your baby, talk to your doctor and get a good support system. And this channel is here for you. I'm not just gonna do sit down videos all the time, by the way. I am eventually gonna start getting some vlogs up. That's taking a little bit more time because I'm learning. But this is a video that is very close to me, and I know it's all over the place because I didn't write anything down, and I probably left some things out. If you want to communicate with me down in the comments, please do. If you have any questions for me, please ask. You can follow me over on Instagram and we can talk there. But I cannot reiterate this enough. You are not alone. So, I guess I'm gonna wrap it up. Gonna end the video here. But don't try to go through it alone, please. Thanks for watching. I realized while I was editing this video that I didn't insert any pictures of myself from when I shaved my head, so I am going to insert a picture right here.